Welcome to the Dave Palma Show, the podcast that revives, restores, and awakens your innermost capabilities.
You have the training and the talent to succeed, but do you have the guts to fail?
I love what I do. When you love what you do, you want to be the best at it.
Today is about the power of you. You will change the world.
Find your path to success through the journey of those who have succeeded. And now, your host, Dave Palma.
Hi, welcome back to the Dave Palma Show. And with me in this episode is the author of several books, including United States of America, a self-care plan for a wounded nation. Lyle Greenfield, welcome to the Dave Palma Show.
Thanks, Dave. It's nice to meet you and nice to be here today.
Nice to meet you too across the pond. We're all, rubbing our hands and looking very anxiously, I suppose, towards what's going on in America. They do tend to obviously have a big say in the world with, probably internally not a lot with foreign policies. But looking at your book, A Wounded Nation, you're obviously looking internally in America. I would look externally from a geopolitical, global politics way of saying, well, this can also affect foreign policy,
Yeah.
But let's get into your book. What was the goal in writing your book?
Well, the goal, it started from my frustration that I think I share with millions and millions of my fellow citizens. Frustration at the tone of voice of the political and cultural dialogue in our country, the finger pointing, the name calling, the vitriol. It's from my perspective, it had gotten out of hand. And although we may feel that it's been exacerbated over the past couple of years, I think it's something that's gone on. If we look back to, for example, President Obama's administration, things were heating up then and before with George W. Bush and our invasion of Iraq. And there's always been conflict in the country, but it seems, at least to this particular resident and citizen, that the discussion has been in the past more civil. And it's not that now.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Where do you think this uncivilness stemmed from then, if it was like that in the past?
It's what's happened, and I have a chapter called "An Addiction Problem?" ? And in this chapter, I've referred to two things, and one is our addiction to the internet and to social media, where, according to research, the average adult is spending between 2 and 7 hours on the internet. Well, between 4 and 7, and 2 of those hours are spent on social media.
Yeah.
When I was a kid growing up, there were basically 3 news sources on your television set. And there was the major networks, and the news was presented to you by 3 middle-aged white men in suits.
Yeah. Same here, actually, in the UK. BBC One, ITV, and BBC Two, and that was it. Yeah. I'm going to be 60 by the time your election's done. So, actually, no, I'll still be 59, but nearly 60. I bought myself this little gadget just so I can pay sometimes in the shops, and there's places where you can't use nothing but gadgets to get, IQ codes.
Exactly.
I don't want a phone where I'm just completely like this all the time with a big massive thing in your pocket,
Like so many of us, right?
Well, I'm not criticizing it. I've got one. I've got a phone like that, and I use it, but I know I will end up getting addicted to it, And I studied computer studies in the late 1979. I was at school. I was still at school. And then I worked with computers from Apple and Microsoft around that time, and the very early computing coding basic, it was called. So
you know how to code.
I don't know how to code. No, what I'm saying is that was then, but then I became a firefighter because that was really what I wanted to do. That was just one of the topics I studied because I was more a STEM guy. I have dyslexia, so English and I'm not saying I'm not good at English, but it was just like a sieve. It's just not going in properly, you know. Then I found out why in later life, you know. But
We may share.
STEM subjects, especially science, was easy for me, you know, as long as
Wow.
it's presented in a certain way. So fire science was
Yeah.
easy, you know. So doing
Yeah.
things with my hands, you know, I was an athlete, you know, wasn't a problem.
Interesting.
However, let's get back to this addiction problem. Yeah.
Well, back to that. That was a time in our lives when there wasn't so much opinion floating around. There was no internet, for example.
Yeah.
There were the 3 TV networks we talked about. Over the past several decades, obviously we have the internet. Obviously we have social media. We have many cable channels. We have literally hundreds and hundreds of choices we can make in terms of what we listen to, what we watch, and who we listen to. And I think that what's happened, there's people refer to the echo chamber that we're all a bit guilty of, I think. We go to the places where the news and the opinion is more aligned with what we already believe in.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, we're not all listening to or hearing the same things. Like in my country right now, so close to the election as we are, it is shocking to people on either the left or the right side of the spectrum. It's shocking how the other people can actually feel the way they do. Like, how can you believe that individual is qualified? Whoever, you know, whether it's, you know, Kamala or whether it's Donald. So we're not hearing and understanding the perspectives of others. And it's I think created a situation where, and the politicians have fed into this by appealing strictly to or largely to their bases. I think it's led to the profiling and name calling that we're hearing. And so we don't seem to be listening to or hearing discussions that are issue based.
Yeah.
Like, what should we be doing with education in this country?
Yeah.
How should the economy be functioning? What should our relationship with trade agreements in foreign countries be?
Yeah.
Do we belong? Should we have a military presence or a political presence on the other side of the world?
Yeah.
Should women have the right to make decisions about their
abortions,
their bodies and abortions and their health issues?
Yeah, that's a big topic. Yeah.
It's a big topic. So for me, over the past, back to your question so long ago asked, why did I write this? Why did I think it was important?
Well, I can certainly understand why now, really.
Yeah.
But I mean,
point. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I mean, obviously British politics can have some name calling going, but we do actually when the actual campaign gets going, 2-3 weeks before the general elections, it does actually stick with the points of policies and what they're going to do about tax. And I mean, obviously not as great as presence in the world as America has now, they used to. It's not Great Britain, but I don't like to call it Great Britain myself, but they don't really have much of a say. EU does probably more so now these days. However, there isn't really so much of that. I mean, they have television debates. We didn't used to, and then there is that kind of you this and you that, but then they kind of like do it more on why are you doing that policy and not you're a criminal. No, you're a fascist, and you're whatever is going on, because that's something that the media deals with in the UK. To be honest, they're very good at that in the UK. So they'll dig out something. Probably more.
Yes, they will.
They will indeed. So obviously within media law, sort of realms anyway.
Yeah.
But I think in America, this toxicity didn't really come about, I don't think, till around the Obama stage, really. I don't remember it. Only a little bit with George Bush prior to Obama, where they were just saying, oh, he's a little bit, unknowledgeable, let's put it that way. I don't want to use a certain words that the British should put, like thick and stupid or whatever.
You used them.
But however,
it's okay.
However, it got more worse then. But I think Trump came into the mix then. He was saying, well, Obama, is he really American? Blah, blah, blah. And then that's when he got probably, I know he wanted to go for president thing years and a couple of decades ago, but
Yeah.
that's what really stoked him up. And I don't know what was going on then. Don't you think that's when it really started to go on?
Yes, I do think the situation we're discussing right now accelerated over the recent years. There is a chapter in the book called Meet My Granddaughter. And this little girl, at the time I wrote the chapter, a year and a half or two ago, she was a year old. Tiny, beautiful, beautiful little girl. Yeah. And whenever there's a new one born in our family, I always think, well, what's my country and what is the world going to be like when she is my age? And in Ava's case, the year would be 2098.
Whoa.
Because I'm kind of old I was 75 when I wrote her chapter.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it made me think, will we have been involved in a third world war? Will there be polar ice caps? Will any borders, will any of the country's borders on our planet have been changed? We're in the middle of a couple of wars right now in distant parts of the world, and it's unclear what the end result will be. And I think for people who think about these things, it's extremely frustrating and anxiety inducing. So I thought for Ava and all the little ones, we better get our together and make things work. And in the case of the United States, come back to respecting the founding documents of this country, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the amendments to that Constitution. And remember, we have our Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and to the republic for which it stands, blah, blah. Do people understand? Are people being educated in a proper way in terms of civics studies? Are young people being taught how governance works in their particular democracy? I think the name calling and the loathing and hatred and finger pointing we're looking at these days, Dave, it's not a good example of how things should run. These are people that we elected to serve and to govern and to work it out. And it feels like the circumstances have been far from that in recent years, to your point.
So what can whoever gets elected, because obviously I'm recording this before just almost when the election is going to happen. For anyone that picks up this podcast in a year's time later, what can the elected leader, whoever it's going to be, Harris or Trump, do to dial down this name calling and personal attack?
The first thing I can do, and they will benefit greatly from this, is read my book.
No, but I shouldn't laugh about it, actually. They should really, I'm
going to show you. This is what it looks like.
Oh, okay, all right, yes, yeah.
Okay.
Well, head over, because obviously I heavily promote mostly on audio apps like Spotify and Apple, but head over to the YouTube channels if you want to actually see it, or go to Amazon. Is it on Amazon?
The book is, yes.
Yeah, so or go to Amazon, one at the three. You won't be able to see it on audio.
Well, I have the book. It's structured loosely into three parts.
Right.
And the first part is a bit of history, and I am not a historian, nor have I ever been a politician.
No.
So I was president of our tiny little neighborhood homeowners association once.
Right. Well, I'll have to put in a little thing, because obviously, as well as being a firefighter, I was a trade union rep, so I got heavily involved with trade union politics and out in the wider community. I met politicians, heckled main leaders, including our prime minister at times.
Yeah, sure.
And I have a politics degree that evolved from that as well. So from the University of London. So
good for you.
Yeah, that's in my. Unfortunately, that's in my DNA somewhere.
So, with the structure of the book in its three parts, the first begins with some history, to attempt to put in context the circumstances we're in right now.
Yeah.
And there's a chapter called Meet My Mom,
Right.
who was born in the year 1919,
Right.
within 1 year of women being given the right to vote in this country,
Okay.
within 1 year of the end of World War One.
Yeah. And it was
When she
also the year
was,
when the Soviet Union was formed as well, when the Bolsheviks,
yeah.
the revolution, the
So my mother, if she were living today, she would say, when I was your age, you have no idea. Meaning things are bad now, they were worse in a different kind of way.
Mm.
And then in the second section of the book, I begin proposing solutions to this problem we're discussing. And finally, I conclude with, because I called it a self-care plan, and I thought, why not treat this as if it's a weight loss book or how to fix your marriage in 30 days?
Well,
Like, okay.
they're quite good selling books, though. Those titles.
Well, the thing is, don't just discuss the problem. A lot of people are discussing, columnists, op-ed pieces, educators, politicians, discussing how difficult and intractable the problem seems today.
Yeah.
So what are the solutions? I proposed 10. I'm sure there are many more. And I divide them equally between what our elected officials need to do to improve things and how we need to tweak our means of electing those people. And then the second 5 of these are recommendations for the citizens of the country, what we need to do. So number 1 on my list is our elected officials need to dial down the rhetoric, stop the name calling and finger pointing, and do the things that we elected them to do. That's number 1 on the list.
Yeah.
Other things on that side of the list, and this is my dream idea. You may have heard of the expression Speaker of the House.
Yeah, they had that in the Houses of Parliament as well, the Speaker.
Yeah. So, the majority party in Congress, they elect a leader who will become the Speaker of the House. And I think that person, in the event of several catastrophes, becomes the third in line for president or something.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, not the case in the UK, but they still have a powerful kind of, presence in politics there. So.
And you won't be electing your king.
Is it still No, that's the commander in chief actually. So that's still kind of, and they are the employee of the prime minister. So
there you go.
They kind of still have some kind of power in the country, but they are more or less a figurehead. They don't really have much say in politics otherwise.
I understand.
Is it still Nancy Pelosi that's the speaker?
She was the speaker.
Oh, she was. She's not anymore. Okay, yeah.
No, because I think the Republicans now have a majority in Congress.
In the Congress, right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, not in the Senate.
Yeah, you was going to ask a question just now. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say that one of the other recommendations on that side is that there should be a monthly Speakers of the House, in which a motivational or inspirational speaker or coach addresses both houses of our Congress for 1 hour to discuss the importance of leadership qualities, empathy, inspiring those whom you were elected to lead. And I have, for example, a sociologist, Dr. Brené Brown. I've listed her as a potential first speaker. I named several coaches. The attendance at this would be mandatory unless a written permission, a written excuse from your doctor or your mother. Yeah. So that's one of my ideas. And for the citizens, again, there were 5 recommendations. The first thing I say is that we need to participate in the government. We need to show up for our elections. I discovered in doing my research that in primary elections in this country over the past 2 decades, less than 30% of registered voters showed up to vote. Now, we had a phrase going around a couple of decades ago, and still is active, I think, called the silent majority, in which there were concerns. We're ignoring the average homeowner, the average family person. We're not listening to their needs. And my feeling about that was that the silent majority, their responsibility is to not be silent. If we're in a democracy, we have an obligation to participate, because the alternative to a democracy is something we don't want.
Yeah.
Whether it's a dictatorship or, some other totalitarian rule of government. We say and believe we treasure this democracy, but it requires our participation in it. So that's one of my recommendations.
Yeah.
Another, I consider this an almost radical idea. You'll have to decide. Have you ever heard of a foreign exchange program for students?
Yes, I have, because I've met, when I was studying politics, I met some students that came for one semester to my university and then they went back like that. Is that what you mean by that? Foreign exchange?
I do mean exactly what I mean by that, Dave.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've offered a proposal for an interstate student exchange program, in which a high school student, for example, from the Bronx, New York City, would spend a semester in a high school in Alabama.
Yeah.
With a host family.
Yeah.
And a student from that school in Alabama. Because in our minds, we have this idea that those are extraordinary cultural differences in our own country.
Of course, yeah.
From the south to the north, to the farming states and the western cattle and oil states, to the coastal, I won't say coastal elite. Well, I did, didn't I? But the most populous states where there's an incredibly, I would say, dense melting pot population.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a helpful step in letting young people grow up to realize they live in an extremely diverse nation that is supposed to be one nation under God, indivisible, but doesn't feel that way. Does not feel that way at the present time, which again is the reason for the book.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's quite. I mean, obviously, viewing the book, obviously, if you're listening audio, it's quite a thick book, so it's not a quick read, I don't think, but it's probably worth reading, going to getting it.
It's it's actually the book that the total number of pages is about 180.
Oh, is that all? Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
It looks bigger than that to me.
No, this is not the Bible of American politics.
Right. Okay. Well, that's stuff. I mean, I've written a book and it's about just under that amount of pages, about 96 or something, and that's a quick read. So yeah, all right. Well, I'll take all that back. I'll retract that. It's not going to take much. Yeah, that's not much. It's not going to take much to just order it and read.
You can read most of the book on your next train ride.
Well, yeah. I can imagine. Yeah, that's not really going to take much out of you. And obviously, as I say, hopefully this episode is going out just before the elections are coming up on the 5th of November. So hopefully take a read and see what it what it can enlighten for it, although it's written towards American citizens, is it? Or?
It is generally.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm writing it for our politicians. I'm writing it for the voters of this country. And, I'm trying to not simply be, one of the opinion writers, suggesting that the sky is falling, but suggesting that really we have, if we come to think about it and restudy what we have, we should be very grateful and then interested in making the changes, the tweaks, the improvements that get us back to, understanding and respecting and loving our neighbors, so to speak.
Yeah,
we're in a time when not only is this rhetoric and finger pointing going on in politics, but we see too much of it at the dinner table.
Yeah,
where
yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
There shouldn't be that. There shouldn't be that. And we can correct it, I think.
But going outside all that, I mean, we spoke about the media earlier, your social media, being addicted to it. I think you said chapter 6 of your book, was it? And one of the chapters we were speaking earlier at the beginning of the episode.
Well, I talked about, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, what I was going to ask was, obviously with all this media madness, how do you become conscious of what we listen to and evaluate what we hear?
Well, there's a movement afoot, not simply in this country. There are a couple of states and the country Finland, where
Finland,
what's digital literacy is being taught at a very, very early age. And I have a chapter called kindergarten as opposed to kindergarten.
Right,
and kindergarten, the importance of digital understanding and learning. Kids are on their devices at a very, very early age.
Yeah.
And the concept is to teach them how to navigate and how to cross-reference. Obviously, a preschooler isn't going to be, understanding this stuff.
Well, then they'll be very advanced. I mean, there probably might be exceptional ones that will understand it, but yeah.
There's a teacher in the state of Oregon who said that he feels, a high school teacher, that this sort of education is as important as driver's education. In other words, we know and believe that with the millions of choices on the web and sources of information, probably the majority of which are false and just manufactured stories, that it becomes ever more difficult to understand, well, what am I reading here that is truthful? So the idea is to teach people at an earlier age how to cross-check, how to cross-reference, how to do your own research and determine if something is true, how it's been, what the source is that presented you with that information. This requires a big commitment. I mean, there are plenty of parents and a few politicians who are interested in protecting our children from the bad things. And the bad things that they're generally referring to might be, pornography and violence and revenge and bullying.
Yeah.
But there are other things that are more evasive, including misinformation, whether it's political or otherwise. And it's extremely difficult to sort through it. But in terms of educating people who will be, for example, my age in a few short decades, it's a critical thing.
Yeah.
It's a critical thing. It's a very recent thing, the digital age, that basically put all the information of the world in our hands, in our mobile devices, on our MacBooks, on our laptops. And that information and misinformation have been brought to us just ready to open and explore without instructions, without an instruction manual, without a full understanding that a lot of this stuff, I don't know if you permit bad language on your show.
No, you can. It's all right.
It's just shit.
Yeah.
And when too much of that shit is hitting the fan, there's confusion. And and we create a situation where we're ready to believe those who are screaming the untruths the loudest and the most consistently. And it's a disturbing situation. So we need to be educated and be aware that the education, use of cross-checking, referencing, that's an important thing we need to introduce at a very young age for our students.
Yeah. Well, I can see that this book's really aimed at the American people itself rather than, it's aimed at the leaders in terms of, well, look, you're leaders. You shouldn't be name calling and such and such. But obviously, American people as well, isn't it? This book, irrespective of who gets elected in, they should read this book and be educated of how we can come together. So before we go, because I've got to go and pick up my daughter from school actually as well. So I've got a meeting as well with the principals. But anyway, I don't want to go down personal problems here. But
it's all right, Dave.
Give us some one-liners, quick one-liners. 10 ways that the US people can unite the United States.
Well, the first that I began with is we need the elected politicians to stop with the name calling, dial down the rhetoric. The second is we have a system of government in which the electoral college, the electoral college is voted based on population of each state, and in all states except for the states of Maine and Nebraska, it's a winner-take-all situation for the electoral votes.
Yeah.
So the winner of the popular vote in any particular state might only have won by 51%. Nonetheless, he or she gets 100% of the electoral votes. If I'm a resident of that state, I feel, especially if I'm in a particularly, quote, red state or, quote, blue state, I may feel my vote doesn't count really. Yeah. Because, all of my fellow state citizens, they're all liberals or they're all very conservative. So I think we need to change that and apportion those electoral votes according to the percentage of the popular vote.
Yeah.
I mentioned my speakers of the House. I'm going to stand by it. It seems impossible, but I like the idea that both houses of our Congress would be addressed by an inspirational speaker, someone who is normally, counseling athletic teams or large corporations or scholastic institutions.
So someone like Tony Robbins or Les Brown, like that.
Exactly.
Well, they're big names anyway. I think Tony Robbins actually coached or life coached a couple of presidents. I can't remember. I think Clinton was one of them, but I can't remember anyway. But
it's possible.
Well, anyway, let's not go down there.
Probably didn't work.
But Les Brown was into politics before he became an inspirational, motivational speaker.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
that's
Democrats.
Interesting.
He was Democrat. So anyway, So that's
then,
3. Yeah,
that's 3. Jeez, I don't have the whole
thing
in front of me. I can open the book. I'll open the book.
All right, as long as it don't take too quick, because I've got to edit this and download the file. So.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, that's all right. No worries.
Let me see if I can find it very quickly.
Yeah, sure.
Here we go.
Yeah, well, we're just giving quick one-liners, but obviously giving an explanation.
Oh, quick one-liners.
Yeah. Well, you can give concise if it needs explaining.
We need campaign finance reform.
Right, yeah.
In the past 2 elections, over $10 billion have been spent in the 24-month election cycle. That's ridiculous. It should be one person, one vote. There should be, in 2010, the Supreme Court overturned Citizens United, which was about campaign finance reform, in effect saying that corporations are people too. Yeah. But no, they're not. They're corporations and they have millions and billions of dollars, and it's not right.
Yeah,
it's not right.
This is what Elon Musk is actually he's giving out millions, to get voters.
Now I could really use my special words, but I won't.
Anyway, let's go into the next one.
So I mentioned that that the citizens need to turn up and vote.
Yeah,
we can't just leave it to others because we were busy that day. We have to make a point, not simply in the presidential elections, but in the primary elections when candidates are basically auditioning for our interest in what they're saying. Mm-hmm. We need to reemphasize the importance of civics instruction in our classrooms.
Yes.
An alarming statistic involves the fact that a majority of American citizens born in this country would be unable to pass an immigration test.
Yeah.
In other words, do not really have the most basic knowledge of the history and governance of their own country.
Yeah.
Not a good idea.
No.
We need to expand our news sources. This is very difficult, but we were talking about the tendency we all have, I think, and I'll throw myself in that mix, to listen to the news and the opinion from the sources we already agree with.
Yep.
So we're in that little echo chamber. We're in the bubble of our own opinion. And we're basically not allowing ourselves to be challenged by the opinion and the viewpoints, whether it's political, cultural, or religious, of other people.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is part of what's created a dangerous situation for us. The lack of empathy, the lack of understanding, the lack of realizing that not everybody shares our viewpoint.
Yeah, we've got about a minute left, so we'll have to wrap up because Zoom's going to kick us off in a minute. So.
That's not fair, Dave.
Oh, sorry about that. I mean,
okay.
we can come back another time and after the elections maybe, and then what's going on. I think that'd be the best thing. How many was that so far?
Pardon me?
How many was that so far?
How many was that? That was about 8.
So just quickly, one line, the last 2, and then we'll bring you back on the show. I think.
That's very kind of you.
Yeah,
I've already mentioned the Interstate Student Exchange Program.
That's right. Yeah, we had a chat.
And the somewhat conservative governor of the state of Utah, Governor Cox, created an initiative called the Disagree Better Initiative or campaign.
Yeah,
and it is generally for his fellow politicians and elected officials. But I think it's something that we all need to understand how to do better. And that is, instead of the yelling and name calling, we can disagree better, meaning we have to talk to each other. We have to understand how to empathize better with each other.
Okay, Lyle, we'll have to leave it there. But thanks a lot for coming on the Dave Palmer Show today, and go out and tell everyone where can buy your book.
Well, the book.
That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and leave a review over on Apple Podcasts. Or head over to my website, davepalmer.com, and click on Rate Show. Well, that's all for now, but I'll see you in the next episode of The Dave Palmer Show.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.